Anybody in here get a second chance? Huh? Amen. Amen. I think what we're looking at is kind of the smaller picture. And I want to try to give you a little bit bigger picture of the warfare that's going on. And I look at it like a military tactic. I do re-entry. Jordan's crossing here, doing the same thing. Jordan's in the same neighborhood. Most of you are in the same neighborhood. But I look at it like a military tactic that there is an enemy out there that wishes to kill, steal, and destroy, and he's taking out the heads. The head is the family. The head of the family is the father. And in any military tactic, if you take out the lead, the rest crumbles. And I'm not saying that prison ministry is the only, or the prison is the only place where this is going on. They're demoralizing fathers on the TV. Just out in public prisons, there's a couple different tactics for that. But I want us to take a look at the bigger picture here and make sure that we're not so focused in on just the small piece that we don't see the rest of it. Prison ministry is my passion. Early this year, I was blessed to be able to go to Angola, Louisiana State Prison, and I was able to see a prison that was transformed. Like a man's heart was transformed. This is one of the nastiest, bloodiest prisons in the nation. Tried to reform it many times, couldn't do it. Somebody stepped in, a warden that didn't have much experience, and what he brought in Jesus.
Hallelujah.
The bottom line is he brought in Jesus. He brought in the New Orleans Baptist Seminary, and he brought in Jesus. And you know what? That prison changed. That prison changed. In 16 years, it's nowhere near the same place. And when I went there, I knew about Angola. I knew what it was. I know what it became. But to see it firsthand, to go there, and I didn't realize how bad it was. And I didn't realize how good it had gotten. Amazing transformation. This week has been an incredible week for me. This week I was able to sit with the warden at Mule Creek in a kind of a new program that they're doing. There was myself that was represented on the religious side, if you will. They had the AA guy there, and Bill. Talk about a dry drunk. Poor guy, didn't have no joy, didn't have no peace, but he was sober. And then they had the Pooch program. It's crazy. They're bringing dogs into the prison. It's doing great things. But what I saw in that meeting is more of washing the outside of the cup. More of that. And until there's a heart transformation, until, like Jordan talked about, that there's a moral compass change, and that change happens through Jesus, His Word.
Thank you, Lord.
Until that takes place, we're just making smarter criminals. I know when society taught me how to weld, oh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake, because they taught me how to use a cutting torch too. And that just made me a smarter criminal. That's the only thing education done for me, was make me a smarter criminal. This same week I sat at Green Valley Church, is one of the largest churches in our area, and they did this luncheon for leaders in the community. And I sat there with some people from the Board of Education. The table conversation, washing the outside of the cup. I'm cleared to go into our local juvenile hall, I go into our local county jail, and I go into Mule Creek State Prison. And this week again, I was at the juvenile hall, and Vince, which is the head of the juvenile hall, know him fairly well. He was there for this particular event, and I heard it for the first time out of somebody's mouth that's high up in corrections. And Vince is a believer. But our national recidivism rate, those going back to prison, hovers at 82% tracked over a 3-year period. You take 100 guys that have gotten out of jail and prison, within 3 years, 82 of them have gone back. Okay? That's not a good number. They keep talking about getting that 82% down. Get that number down. Wrong direction. the 18%. I want to talk about the 18% that have made it. There's no statistic, there's no number, but I'm gonna submit to you guys that 70, 75, 80, 85, 90% of that 18% have found a relationship with Jesus Christ, and that's what's going on. All my friends that have been to prison, they're all believers. I know a lot of people. I know one guy that's not a believer that has made it out, that has stayed out. And I want to, and what I heard out of Vince's mouth with the juvenile hall is basically we've been working with programs and doing things to get that 82% to go down. But for the first time, I heard it out of somebody else's mouth, but I already knew. What's working? What's working in that 18%? And for the first time, I got encouraged in sitting in one of those meetings. Why are we here today? Most of you didn't even know why you're coming here today. Bless you. Bless you. So the vision for me is, before the second prison came along, I was looking for those 18%ers. Look, I even made the t-shirt. Jordan didn't wear his. I gave him one. A little disappointed. Looking for those that have made it. You are not an 18%er, Ricky. I'm sorry. You are right around the corner, but you are not. How many have been out more than 3 years? Praise the Lord. Those of you that haven't been out, the numbers are against you guys. The statistics say you won't make it, but we know the one that will keep us. We know the one that holds us. It's just about beating that number. This is what I would like to see happen. We're so in the infant stage. I even call it like we're under the infant stage. We're talking about it. I'm going to ask my wife to hand each person a key here today, and I want to give you just a little bit of history how we got to where we are. Prison Fellowship actually started the second prison project due to some circumstances that I really don't understand. They have backed away from it, but I really think that this is too big for Prison Fellowship. This was a 10-year movement. This was a hoping to change culture, hoping to change people's lives. That the question that I asked: can people change? They were unable to move forward with it, and I feel so inadequate. I'm glad that Jordan has actually taken up the lead. He was actually the president of the second prison movement project. So well, bless Jordan. Come on, give it up. This is what I envisioned when I talked about the 18%ers that I would put together through God's Spirit, through His direction, of those that have made it, and then we would go back into prison and tell other prisoners how we did it. That was my vision. But the second prison project that Prison Fellowship started was so much more than that. It was about changing culture. It was about changing the image that we've been stereotyped with. And as you have those keys, this is what I'm going to ask you to do with those keys. I'm going to ask you to do a few things to do. The first one is to contact Prison Fellowship and ask them to get back on board, whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe you can talk to Jordan a little bit more how we do that. But get back on board with, because this is a huge organization, and they have so much more ability than me and Jordan. What was going to take them 10 years would take us 110 years. I'm just going to keep it real for the vision that they had of changing culture. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is there's 15 of us in here. That's my rough count, didn't count. This morning I went before the Lord, and what would you have me say in this area? Would you, and this is what I'd like to see happen. Each of you, each of you find others like us that have found Christ and know what keeps us out. And I thought, well, do I ask him for 3? Do I ask each person to come up with 3 other? Do I ask him for 5? Should I ask him for 10? And you know what I came down with? Make a list. You know, in your quiet time, in your study, make a list of those that you know that have made it. And send them to us that we can start putting together a database of those that have made it. And this is the direction that we're going. Today we were scheduled to do a walk around the Capitol. I pulled a permit, I had the food, there was a little bit of media. Things got changed. And so we're gonna go back to that. We're gonna go back to that with Jim's help. Jim actually helped me to figure out how to pull a permit and how to do that. And so I have a brief understanding. So probably before it gets hot again, early next summer, we're gonna do that walk. We're gonna do that walk around the Capitol. And then I think what needs to happen right after that, and I'll tell you guys, I'm not excited. But I think what has to happen is some kind of work day. It's some kind of work day that we can change, whether it be clean up a local park, paint a school, do something that gives us some credibility that people can change. And that people deserve their second chances. So that's the vision. That's what I would ask you to do, is I would ask you to do 2 things. Contact Prison Fellowship, ask them to get back on board with the ball that they dropped, and to write down every person that you know, juvenile hall, jail, or prison, that has beat that statistic, and then that we can start building a database, addresses, and phone numbers. I like to do mailings. I'm a low-tech guy in a high-tech world. Yeah, Jordan can't even communicate with me because he's email. And I want to write Jordan a letter. I want to put a stamp on it and throw it in there. And so I need the addresses that I can do the mailings. So I would ask you to do those 2 things. But in closing, it is exciting times in the Department of Corrections. There are some people that are in place now that are solid believers. It's wild what's going on. There's a new commissioner of parole, the top dog of the parole hearings, solid believer. The secretary, which is right under the governor, solid believer. And one by one, different wardens at different prisons, solid believer. We have a warden up at Susanville right now, solid, a believer, and they're coming out. And it's, I'm going to tell you, I think if revival is going to happen, it's going to happen where much is forgiven, too much is required. And for those of us that have just tore up our communities, run our muck, I believe there's much required for us. So that's all I got. I'm going to ask Ricky to come on up. Is Ricky up next? Yeah. Ricky's going to share a little bit. Do we have that sign-up sheet going around, or how do we got?
Yeah, I'll get it right now.
Before everyone grabs their sandwiches and wants to leave.
We'll give away Jordan's phone number a little bit, so everybody can pass it to the people they know.
Amen.
So, Jordan shared a little bit of my story. I went to prison when I was a teenager. I spent 26 years in prison. Touched almost every level 4 prison. I think I did every level 4 prison in California. I stayed there for the full 26 years of level 4, and I ended up paroling from Salinas Valley State Prison about a year and a half ago. I've been really blessed since I've been out. I've had Jordan and Antoinette and Simeon and a lot of other people to really help me out when I got out. So, to be honest, I haven't really faced a lot of difficulties or challenges, only because I had a lot of support along the way. So whether it was somewhere to live, a job, I've had those things. But I have a real good friend that was a cellie of mine who did 23 years. And I spent about 10 years with him in the same prison on the same yard. And he got out. His dad died when he was a teenager. His mom passed away 1 month before he got granted parole after 23 years. And doesn't have any brothers or sisters. And he was up there in the Bay Area with Simeon right here. One of his friends worked with him. And it was just difficult. He didn't have any support. He didn't know anybody up there. And kind of got left to his own devices. And he did about 5 months and got busted with meth and weed in his car. Got pulled over. And now he's back. And as a lifer, when you go back, you just resume your life sentence. You know, it's not like you have to do 6 months and you get to go home on a regular violation. So that's kind of the contrast between somebody that has the support and